Welcome back to our series, Understanding the Mass,
So we're back in the parish of Cardiff in Drumbo today.
to visit Father Michael.
Can't get rid of it. Understanding the Mass, we'll explore all different aspects of Mass in the Catholic Church.
All the different elements and stages that come together to make Mass what it is.
Each week we are really lucky because we are joined by the amazing Father Michael Sheehan, the parish priest of Drumbo and Cardiff.
Father Michael is extremely knowledgeable and hopefully he can answer some of our questions and give us a greater understanding of the Mass. So Father, is there any significance to the candles during the Mass?
Generally, candles are usually used simply, it's just part of the whole sense of the celebration of Mass. Again, they're not an essential thing, but they're used just to add focus. So, for example, candles can be carried in procession. You would have them on the way in, you would have them at the procession for the Gospel, and they would be used in the procession on the way out. And they would usually accompany a cross. But candles generally, in order that candles, if you get a candle and you light it, in order the candle remains a light, it has to give of itself, in the sense it burns itself out. And the significance and the symbolic aspect of that is that as Christians, we also are called to give of ourselves to spread the light of Christ. So a candle, obviously, when you light it and burns down, some people have excessive OCD and constantly replace their candles rather than letting them burn right down. But it is the sense the candle gives of itself to give light. And the Christian is called to give of themselves to bring Christ's light. So it's mainly used for celebration. At different parts, even outside of Mass, candles would be used in what we call benediction and exposition, where the Blessed Sacrament is exposed in a special container we call a monstrance. And there are usually candles lit on either side of that. Again, it's just to highlight, it's to focus, it's to draw people's attention, and a reminder just as they give light and give of themselves, we're to do the same. We also have where people come in to light candles. It's a specifically Catholic and Orthodox Christian tradition. And again, part of that is that people come in to pray, they light a candle, and in the lighting of that candle, they ask prayers of intercession, whether it be from the saints or directly through Christ, the mediator. And part of that would be, if, say, for example, if a friend of mine is unwell, I would ask other people to say a prayer for them. So the intercession of saints in our understanding of the Church is that we ask those who have gone ahead of us, who are already with God, to bring our prayers or our petitions to His attention. That doesn't mean that God needs to be constantly reminded of what's going on. It's just a form of, we ask other people to pray for us, and we ask the saints to do the same. And often people will light a candle and leave a candle, partly as a continuation of their prayer. You know, some little prayers you will find around candle shrines in different parts of churches might be, I leave this candle here, as long as it burns, continue to hear my prayer. Or I leave this lighted candle as a sense of a presence, that my prayer might be heard.
So Father, why do we use incense during the Mass?
Incense is used for different reasons. So it's used ultimately as a symbol of prayer that rises to God. So it's a reminder of that sense. It's also used as a form of blessing. So, for example, when we use incense, and it's often used at very, very high feasts or very special times of the year, it can be used every day, but it's normally used to signify special celebration. So, for example, the incense is often carried in by servers. The first thing the priest will do, he will incense the altar. As a sense of giving reverence to the altar, it's the symbol of Christ in the church. It's why we gather around the altar, we gather to be fed at the altar. So it's usually incensed as well to signify its importance and asking God to bless the offerings we bring to it. It's then used also later for the Gospel. So the Gospel is usually incensed because it is written by the evangelists, and it's a much more significant focus part of the scriptures. So we have the Old Testament, many parts of it from the Jewish scriptures. We have the New Testament, which contains the letters of the apostles, but also the gospel. So the gospel significance, which tells of the life of Christ and of his teaching, is always highlighted. We use candles at that times as well, and we also use incense to incense it. Then as we move back to the altar for the sacrifice itself, for the celebration of Mass there, the altar is incensed again, as are the gifts. And as the gifts are incensed, asking God's blessing again on our offering. And what should normally happen is the priest would then, or the deacon, or the server would go and incense the people. Now, in some places they would actually go through the church incensing people, But often what happens is he would stand in front of the altar or at the front of the steps to the sanctuary and would incense people in front and to the left and to the right. In other churches they do different things. One of the largest incensers in the world is in a place called Santiago de Compostela, which is in northern Spain. It's the site of St. James. And they have a thurible, which is with the incenser, and it takes 12, I think, men to move it, and they start this huge, big thurible starts to swing. And as it swings, it's pulled up on a whole system of pulleys, and it rises right up, and it goes right down the centre aisle and right up against the sanctuary. But this thing is absolutely massive. And I'm not sure if it's on YouTube, it may well be, but it's fascinating to watch it. But that's that whole sense of incensing the whole people of God, and a sense of offering ourselves and things that we bring to God, just a sense of offering it to God. So that's the main parts of the Mass where it's used. We use it at funeral rites as well. It's often used as an incense at the coffin, and again it's a sense of reverencing and blessing the body of those who've gone ahead of us. It's a form of reverence and of respect for the human person and their body. Other times we use incense. It's used whenever a church is consecrated or blessed. Say a new church is built, there's a special ceremony for dedicating it, and at that point the bishop would go round and incense the walls of the church, the people in the church, the altar, everything that's significance is incensed as a sign of reverence.
And finally, Father, is there any significance to flowers during the Mass?
Not really. They're used for decoration as well. So, for example, in our church now, we would use flowers at Easter. And we would try to keep the altar covered and decorated with flowers for the whole of the Easter season, which is 6 weeks. We would use flowers at Christmas time, we use them at confirmation time. And it depends. It depends if flowers are brought. People bring flowers, so they would be used around the church. But generally, we would use them for decoration. So it's the same like we use Christmas trees at Christmas. So it's just to highlight and to point out significant times of the year, but they're not necessary.
So that was another really interesting episode of our series, Understanding the Mass.
Yes, it certainly was. We're looking to start a conversation though. So if you've any thoughts about what we learned here today, be sure to comment below.
And if there's anything you want to find out for a future episode, also let us know in the comments below.
Like, share and subscribe.
Do you know what was class? The one with the vestments, and you had like the little snippet of Father Michael walking in and out. That was so good.
Yeah, they talk about the mini Father Michael.
I don't know.
I wish I had that on camera.
For the blooper reel. The filming experience was actually something really enjoyable for me.
He was ordained.
I was a bit nervous at the start because I've never done anything like this, any type of filming or presenting. Hello.
Hello, Father.
I was very anxious about filming as well because I hate hearing myself, I hate seeing myself, and I just hate all that. But I must say I found it, when I got used to it, it wasn't intrusive at all. And Caitlin was always smiling, which was lovely. David, the whole thing was really, really good.
So that certainly was a colourful experience.
Better dressed than you, Dermot.
Anyway, so Father, why do we use incense during the Mass?
I suppose part of the reaction to the feedback even from Facebook was that maybe just as a priest, we take so much for granted. There was a lot of stuff that I presume people would know. Now, my just was there was no reason to presume it, because when I went into seminary I knew absolutely nothing. And when I went through seminary I discovered I knew even less than I thought I knew.
Hello, it's me, Caitlin.
And it's me, Dermot.
I learned a lot, yes. Like there was so much detail to everything that I hadn't even considered before. Particularly, I enjoyed learning about the colours of the vestments. That was probably my favourite one.
We're looking.
And yeah, it was really interesting even just finding out a lot more about different parts of the Mass. That obviously that's the whole point of the series, but I really did learn a lot, and a lot of things that I kind of just did as a routine. I didn't think about. I think about the meaning behind it, so it really did give me a whole new perspective on some things in church.
Here, I'll let you in on a wee secret. My dad did the icon in here as well, of St. Columbanus. Today we're too far.
Today we're on a road. Yeah. We are.
Sometimes I found it quite challenging because some of the questions I was asked were thinking, well, I'm not sure what the answer to that is. I'm not sure of the exact aspects of it. But I must say, I enjoyed the whole thing. I enjoyed, and it was great to be able to work with Caitlin and Dermot. And it was fun, to be fair, and I must say, I did enjoy it.
Thanks for watching this episode of Understanding the Mass.
Make sure to like, comment below, and share.
I had no idea what to expect, but it's so cool the way it's been edited together, and even the little like intro at the start, it looks class.
Make sure to like, comment below, and subscribe. Share? Is it share?
Yes, working with Father Michael was a pleasure, as always. And we learnt a lot, and didn't have to ask very many questions. Father Michael knows it all.
Ooh, definitely not.
Definitely.
So we hope you enjoyed that two-parter.
I thought your co-presenting was really good because you bounced off each other very well.
Hi, I'm Caitlin.
And I'm Dermot. And today we're here to learn why the Mass is divided into 4 parts.
I messed that up.
And when you look at it in reality, the time of preparation was quite short. I know we had the questions and all of that, but even like you remember before we actually, or even part of the early filming, or even the filming generally, you had to get questions into your head, we had to work out what we're actually saying. That was all done quite spontaneously. It's not as if you had a fully written script that was there. So a lot of that all blended and gelled really, really well and worked well, actually, I thought.
Organic, I think, is the word they like to use. Yeah.
Yes.
Spontaneous and organic.
Okay, camera roll, action.
We just want to say a massive thank you to everyone who's been watching the series and has been commenting underneath. We've really appreciated all the comments.
Thank you to the Knights of Columbanus for having this initiative and involving us in it, and for their support while we were filming the series.
Thank you especially to Caitlin and to Dermot, who were very involved in the programme, and of course to Chris, who produced it and brought it to life. But if you have enjoyed watching, please continue to share and get the understanding of the Mass out there as much as possible. Thank you.